Hi folks, now this is what give the game away. This is a great little knife. I really am taken with this. Unfortunately it has one big problem, and that is as a UK legal carry knife without a good reason and all of that usual preamble, you're not allowed to carry this in the UK because it has a liner lock. That's the sort of thing that really drives me to distraction, because this really is a nice little knife. And when I say little, I mean it. There is a sort of standard 3-inch knife, Rough Rider. So it's more of a 2-inch blade than a 3-inch blade. Obviously it's a non-pointed blade, it's being a sort of cleaver blade, but it's actually the knife that it most reminds me of all the ones that I've got is, if I can find it here, this little Serge Panchenko clone that Paddy gave me. It's an uncanny, there are uncanny similarities, even down to the rather unusual thing in that they're both blue. I don't know if you can really see the blue of the Panchenko one, but it is blue. But they have a very similar sort of blade shape, aesthetic, and in some ways utility. Actually, since I've had this knife, it lives on my desk. It lives on my desk next to my 940. So they are the two knives that I tend to reach for most often for doing something. But this is the one I reach for most. If I just want to cut a box open or something, this is the one that's doing it. If I want to just slit open a package or whatever, this is the one that I'm going for, rather than the 940. Now, this one is a friction folder. It has a reasonable sort of detent. I mean, it's not a Kaiser Feist, you actually do need to push it. But it also has this the flipper tab on the back. Now you can't actually touch that when it's open, but if that knife were to try and fold, that little thing is going to come up and catch you before the blade is actually shut. Now, we don't need to worry about the folding of this knife because it's got a lock on it. It's a liner lock, which I quite like. I like a liner lock because it makes the knife symmetrical. It's got a reasonable action on it, and I think I don't think it's bearings, I think it's just washers. But you can kind of flick it shut. It won't just drop shut, but you can flick it shut. The other thing I quite like about this is, although if you have reasonable manual dexterity, my son can do it without any problem. You can push the knife open with your thumb. I struggle a bit, but only this is me. This is nothing to do with the knife. And then when it comes to closing it, my son can do it, and I'll try and do this and then just push it with his fingers shut. I think I'm probably going to take my fingers off one day doing that, but you can do it. The other thing you can do with this knife though is if you pick it up by that and then just flick it, it opens. Now this is a Jesper Voxnaes design, and in some ways you kind of look at it and you think, well, that's blatantly obvious, but this is, and I bought a few knives from these people. It's I'm just trying to think what they're called. Knife Makers of Maniago. Is it KMM? Something like that. I think that's what they call themselves. Oh, Maniago Knife Makers, MKM. That's it. Effectively that's like you have Sheffield made for Sheffield knives. Maniago is the place in Italy where, famous for its knife manufacture, like Solingen in in Germany or even Tidiout or something like that. It's a knife making area around the town of Maniago, so in Italy. So I've picked up a few knives from them, and they all come in the same MKM boxes, which is sort of quite nice. And they're quite good at packaging them. We'll see that. This one being a pocket clip knife. I've switched the pocket clip to the other side because I'm a lefty, and with a knife that's only held shut by a detent, if you put it in the wrong way around, it's quite easy to open it in your pocket, or slightly open it in your pocket, particularly as you're putting it in. But you may not notice until you go back to get it out, and you find that the blade is just open a little like that, and just with nice sharp bit just ready there to catch your hand as you put your hand in. This one isn't too bad, but anyway, so I turn it round. It's got this I suppose lanyard hole, but I'm not sure you'd put a lanyard in that. It kind of has a sort of carabiner look to it. It has a sort of look like this ought to be a knife for a climber or something like that. And with all the chat lately about when you look at the new Offensive Weapons Act, there's a lot of chat about knives which can flick open with a flipper tab being potentially, and I'm not saying they are, but potentially being made illegal in this country, like flick knives are, automatics are. Absolutely forbidden. Now, we're not there yet, but there is specifically an exemption in the Act for knives that open with one hand, using studs on the blade and things like that. Use an example of a stud for climbers particularly, but it's for anybody. So this type of opening mechanism, as opposed to a flipper, is probably more likely to remain legal. So they're worth investing in. I'm a little loath to invest in anything with a flipper at the moment. Anyway, what do people want to know about this? The blade is basically 2 inches. As I say, it's got the Vox brand on it, the V, a little like a hand grenade, or an old-fashioned grenade or bomb, and an X. Which is the Jesper Voxnaes logo. You can see it's N690 Co. Now I don't know if the CO means anything, and I'd be really grateful if anybody could tell me, because I am actually genuinely very interested to know. And on the other side, oh yeah, well, here we are. That's all I needed to do was turn it over. MKM, which is now a trademark for Maniago, Italy. And obviously it's a flow through. If we can turn it over. Oops, can't do it. Liner lock knife. It's FRN handles over steel liners with this, I think it's aluminium. Certainly feels metallic. Backspacer, come lanyard hole, come carabiner type thing. You've got this nice contrasting orange thing. Funnily enough, I have a climber knife by Victorinox climber, which happens also to be blue, and it happens to have an orange lanyard on it. So I don't know if those colours are what attracts me to it. They do it in an OD green, and there's a blacked out, murdered out version, and it's available with a spear point as well as the cleaver blade. Anyway, I think it's a really nice little knife. I'm really, really taken with this one. I wish it could be an everyday carry. I think I have to be a little bit careful because we're not really allowed liner locks, but honestly, I can't see anybody being offended by it. It's just not an offensive knife. And being in blue and orange, I think, also adds to that. Anyway, so there we go. That is the very lovely MKM Isonzo, Isonzo cleaver. Thank you very much. If you like this, please feel free to tick the like box, leave a comment, and I'd be very grateful if you'd like to subscribe. As I say, the 500 giveaway will be coming up very, very soon, so remember to ring the bell if you want to be included in that. Thank you. Bye bye.